We are now live here. We're in East Palestine. John and I got into town last night. I've talked with Jenna ahead of time. If y'all watched the channel last week at some point, Jenna and I connected on Facebook, and we had the whole story with the cleaning company that was in town that was contracted by Norfolk Southern. Norfolk Southern was hiring a cleaning company that was spraying cleaners that would be used for germs and bacteria rather than cleaning up chemicals in folks' homes, which was obviously inappropriate. But these folks right here all live with either the train tracks literally in their backyard behind these houses here. Alternatively, they live right across the street. So these folks are dealing with this full on, and we're actually going to hear a train coming by in just a second, it sounds like. I just heard the horn. Every how many minutes?
11 on average.
On average, every 11 minutes. I guess if we want to start off here, what kind of effects have you been happening with all this? Like, you can start almost back from the beginning, like when this first happened. Explain what happened, I guess. Were you home when this sort of thing, when the train initially derailed?
I was home, yes.
We were all home.
I took my dog out shortly before it happened. If I was out there like maybe 5 minutes longer, I probably would have witnessed it actually coming off the track.
Jeez.
Yeah, so I went outside when I heard the noise, seen the smoke, walked to the edge of the yard and looked down, and there was a fire. You know, I was like, well, I'm gonna have to get out of here.
Yeah.
You don't know what that is.
Right.
And we didn't know what it was until, I don't know, maybe 4
days.
What, Saturday maybe we knew what it was?
Yeah.
But they evacuated us Friday on the 3rd.
Yep.
So we left. And been in a hotel ever since until like the 9th of February.
Until the 9th of February.
Yeah.
And were any of you all home when it happened as well, or?
I actually was home. I jumped out of bed. Unlike him, we didn't think we were getting evacuated. We all stood back there and watched it. I texted her, and she's like, I'm staying here, no problem. And then finally they knocked on her door and forced her out of bed.
Well, I don't know. At the area, we've had a lot of suicides with the railroad tracks. There's a lot. So that's my first thought was, who hit the train now? Like, I wasn't thinking like chemical warfare here. So that was my thought. She's like, dude, it's exploding. So
Yeah, my initial thought, I was downtown. I was walking, and I thought it was weird. The trains stop over the intersection from time to time. I just hopped through them. When I wrapped this corner onto Clark Street, you could see the flames up in the air. And I work at that building right down there.
Yep.
So I thought my shop was on fire. So I went running up there to check on the kiln hand, check on everything. Back end of our building caught fire. So I actually, for some reason, stood out there and watched it for about 20 minutes, like probably from me to you to it.
Right.
Because like you said, we didn't know what it was.
Right. And are you all back working in there? Or is the building damaged?
Yeah, as soon as the evacuation lifted, they were back in work, of course.
I don't know if you noticed the cloud that just came in with that train. I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera, just like the whole dust cloud that we're breathing in right now. So when you guys are coughing later, you're welcome.
You get the smell every time a train goes by.
Yep. And that's a lot of folks that we've been talking to people all day long. We're going to be here all week doing this sort of thing, and people were saying all the trains coming by and they kick up all the dust and everything. We were hearing street sweepers and stuff at one point. It was an issue they were coming through. And
I work in the very back of that building, so my shop is actually like right on Pleasant Street, my department, and I thought they were like throwing water down to keep the dust down, but what sense does it make putting the water down when you're following up with a street sweeper? They were every hour. Twice an hour about, they'd run a street sweeper up and down. I'm like, that don't make no sense at all to me.
Right. Yeah. Insane. I guess, unfortunately, a lot of people I'm talking to are having health issues with this, whether it be, coughs and stuffy noses and eyes, and
My tongue's been tingling.
Tongue's been tingling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't admit it. Well, I'm going to admit it, but I've woke up with a bloody nose almost every day since I've been home, and my daughter has a dry cough. Yeah. But it's hard, like, I don't want to just blame it, but at the same time, it's like I didn't have these before. But, the weather is 60 one day and 40 the next, so it's kind of, like, hard for me anyway to be like, it's all because of that. But at the same time...
Right, it's not something... Every spring you get that sort of weather. Do you normally wake up with bloody noses every night?
So it's kind of like yes and no. It's been rough, though. Very rough.
Absolutely. Jenna, have you...
I was completely unpanicked about my symptoms until somebody over here told me that they had symptoms, because she doesn't admit to anything, and we are having identical symptoms. I've had the bloody nose, I've had the cough, I've had the headaches. I actually have a rash that she hasn't. We jokingly said we're going to make a bingo card of all the symptoms and see who wins first. but
Right. And you mentioned to me earlier on Facebook Messenger that you just kind of noticed the rash recently. Is this a newer thing?
I had it Friday night. Actually, he had it too. We were hotel neighbors as well as Clark Street neighbors, and we both had the same rash. But mine just came back as I was cleaning up my son's room where the window is open.
I got the headaches, the chest pain, the dryness in your throat. I had to come back Saturday night to get medication that I needed, and that's when I noticed the rash. It was itchy, and then I took a shower with some well water far away from here, and it was still burning. It was like a chemical burn.
Yeah.
It's just I don't like how they're doing things. There's no way they dug down 20 feet and removed all the dirt.
Is that okay? Is that you or me? Okay, I was like,
and there's just no way they did that.
yeah.
In that short a period of time.
They just got it moved out of the way to get the trains running again.
And the only way they got to go back to running their trains again was they had to lift the evacuation.
Right.
You'll notice they're double stacking now. You notice that?
So
Every train car is double stacked now instead of. They're trying to make back up for the time they lost.
right, because so for people watching, there was at least it was only a 3-day period, I believe, right, where there were no trains on the tracks, and they immediately basically got it going right after that, from what I understand, or 6.
Yeah.
Okay, so a little bit more than that.
Yeah, almost a week.
Right. So to make up for what this gentleman was saying is to make up for the time lost, they're double stacking, putting like 2 containers on top of each other. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, putting 2 containers on top of each other per car. So loading up the trains even more that are probably already overloaded. Hence what just happened here.
Well, a lot of people probably don't know that train broke down before it left. As it left, and then it was 150 cars long and 18,000 tons of material they were pulling. That's with cars and the material that they were pulling.
2.5 miles long, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They're only supposed to be a mile long for just that reason. Like the conductor can literally, or the engineer can look out and look back on a curve and see if there's something going wrong. Right. That car, that train was way too. That was the whole rail strike. They loosened up all the safety regulations just to keep it moving.
And with that whole rail strike, I mean, we had the Biden administration basically squashed that, told them, nope, yeah, we're going to make it so you can't strike, basically. And they're striking for safety regulations and things like that. It's like, and even when you look back, this is administration after administration of like rail industry lobbying. They're giving money to both parties and things like this. And when that happens and you leave the rail companies unregulated, this is unfortunately what you get.
Where's the transportation secretary that's supposed to take care of all this?
Right.
Booty Goog. I don't know his name.
Yeah. Booty Goog is probably the best pronunciation of it I've ever heard. That was good. Yeah, Booty Goog.
Where's he at?
Yeah, you know what's ridiculous is this morning we actually looked at it for finally and it's a piss poor thing that he did in response to all of it. He finally wrote a strongly worded letter to Norfolk Southern. So that's going to probably fix all your problems, right? That's agreed, right? It's ridiculous. And I mean now FEMA is kind of just looking like they maybe will roll into town. I guess
It's sad that it took that long when people were telling them they weren't feeling well. Yeah, almost 3 weeks in.
Almost 3 weeks in, and we're just now getting to FEMA here. Our firefighters and all the firefighters that helped had no clue what they were fighting. All they know was it was a fire.
And they kicked ass.
Yeah, you're good.
Sorry.
It's the internet, you can swear.
Then they started putting it out and realized what they were putting out, and they got pulled back and had to wait. What was it, 24 hours for a foam truck to come?
That was like 78 departments,
Yeah.
and they did. I mean, they didn't have to come in to help, and they did. And it's sad that the Congress and the Senate, we're going into 3 weeks, and where have they been? They came out for 1 hour and then dipped, or they were outside the mile zone at the park for safety.
Right.
But you're saying we're okay to be in it. It's like just because we're lower class than you, but are we really? But it's just the judgment that just because this town is low income and a lot of people struggle, it's like they don't care about it. They're just whatever. We'll just shove them off. They'll be fine.
Yeah, they got a lot of school sports teams that are forfeited, not wanting to come and play in East Palestine.
Oh yeah, a lot of deliveries won't come through because I have ordered a few things and they're the delivery's delayed because the town is not safe.
Undeliverable.
Yeah,
I have that too.
This man is actually leaving town.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
No, I'm moving to San Antonio.
Gotcha.
I'm out of here.
Yep. So as a result of this, you decided
Yeah. They ain't gonna do enough to fix it. I hate to say it, this town's gonna slowly start descending down the slope because people are moving out and no one's gonna want to move in.
Right.
I said ghost town 20 years.
Right. Well, what is, if you don't mind me asking, like, are you in a situation where you're renting and it's easier to leave, or do you own your home?
Yeah, that's the. I feel bad for the people that own. I feel bad for the landlords that rent all. There's certain landlords in here that own a lot of units,
Right.
and they're going to be losing a lot of income because of this.
Yeah.
And eventually, they're just going to say, you know what, I'm done with it. I'm losing too much money. They're going to
Yeah.
Selling uplift.
Yep.
No, that's
And they're eventually going to leave. It's.
Like if you come back tomorrow and see how close them tracks are and how far apart they are, you'll realize how far they moved them.
You can see the damn thing probably with it.
Oh yeah.
yeah. We'll get out there.
Yeah, you'll actually see how close they are to the property lines this way, because I heard they own like 15 to 17 feet from where their tracks were, so they done exceeded that. So now they're gonna have to buy that 15 to 17 feet in from their tracks, and that comes right into every one of these properties down this line. So
That's crazy. And I guess so you all had a town hall last week. Did any of you all make it out to that town hall event?
2-hour line outside. I don't even think anybody could get in there other than if they were waiting. Like, it was a wait.
There's people from other towns going to that thing.
But so people come from other towns, you couldn't even get in because the line was too long
But
outside.
it's crazy because they're coming from other towns to support us and wanting to help. And it's like sad at the same time because you're like, well, where's the help from the people who are supposed to be running the state?
Right. And also notably missing from that event, Norfolk Southern, who caused all of the problems to begin with.
he hasn't been to none of them as far as I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
He's
definitely
afraid
kept
of
it
his safety.
secret. He definitely kept it a secret coming into town the other day. Not that like people would go like wild and like beat him up or anything, but I mean, we deserve the answers. You know, we're sitting here suffering. We're trying to get back to work and make money, and we're all behind, and we're all stressed, and we're all struggling, and they're just living up on their little high chair.
And frankly, so this morning I actually went, John and I went, and we talked to tons of folks as they were waiting in line at the assistance center, the one town over there, and yes, in New Waterford. And first off, we got there around 8:30 or so. It opened at 10. Oh yeah, there was a line 50 people deep. The people at the front of that line got there at 5:30 in the morning, they said. Because they were like, they had tried to go before and they never got a ticket, and they were like, I can't waste more time. I need to get a ticket or else I'm never going to get in. So people were waiting hours to get up there and go get their assistance. And some of them were getting up there and being turned away because, online and on the phone when they would call, they'd say you need, document 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you show up and they're like, oh, you also need this other thing. And it was just like at the last minute, they're saying now you need a social security card as well. And
I
people,
heard the social from the beginning, though. I
See,
did hear that. Social proof of residence, like an unopened piece of mail, and an ID. I think that's the only 3 I really needed.
Yeah.
And I think maybe I'm wrong, but someone was saying like I was on the website 2 days ago and the social security card wasn't on there, and they called.
It's been very transparent from the beginning. You have to have your social if you're claiming the $1,000. If you're not claiming the $1,000 and you need to turn in like all your reimbursements, you just need 2 forms of proof of residency. And it's sad because people like us who have multiple days in the hotel, multiple days of receipts for expenses, people who left their houses with absolutely nothing can't get reimbursed now because all these people are taking numbers to get a $1,000 check and not even bringing the correct documents.
Right. Yeah, no, and that's a whole other layer to it. And what's tricky too is like, while some people probably are missing that information or whatever, other people are relying. I spoke to a lot of elderly folks who aren't gonna hop on their computer or on their smartphone and look at it. They're just going based on what they saw on TV. They saw it on the local news. Here comes another train. Yeah, you're pretty damn close to 11 minutes if it wasn't exactly.
You're really gonna smell because it's coming from that direction. So you're really going to smell this one.
How clear the air is right now.
Yeah.
You won't be able to see our faces.
Definitely, it is insane the amount of trains going through. All day, John and I have been just like, another one.
We got 2 dead raccoons that are in the center of the tracks closest to the property line that I got to pull out and try to get tested, and no one's contacted me to get them tested to see why they're actually dead beside the trains running over top of them.
And we'll let the horn go by for a second. And for anyone watching, definitely can share the stream so that folks can see this if they haven't seen it already. Hit the like button, all that good stuff. If you're not a member already, consider becoming a Status Coup member. statuscoup.com/join. You can do that. So on top of it, I mean, some of the folks I was talking with today too were being told like, okay, we already gave you. Some folks who live in East Palestine, they took the $1,000 at one point, and then they're trying to turn in receipts for other things, and they're like, well, you already took the $1,000, so
I will speak to that one.
Yeah.
They made it very transparent. Like, they weren't hiding things. Like, I don't know where everybody's getting this from.
Okay.
The guy, because I have my claim still open, because we were in the hotel, and I said, I'm not going back to my house until the air is tested until this. And the guy made it very clear that once you accept that $1,000, your claim through them is done. You're considered inconvenienced, and your claim is finalized and the paperwork set aside. They made it very, very transparent.
Very clear.
But it is also a little, to dangle the $1,000 in front of somebody at first, and them maybe not necessarily. I mean, we've talked to a lot of people who are like, they don't seem concerned, and then they'll have a conversation with someone and be like, oh, like someone mentioned a rash today, and I was like, well, with some people I was talking to, it sounds like it could be from showering in the water, and like you could see the light bulb click, right? Which is, it's really sad. Like, you feel for the person. Oh my God! Another train. That one was not 11 minutes. That one was about
Slowest that they've gone through here in months.
Oh, the speed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If they don't hit 70 miles an hour through here, I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Not right now.
So there were people who, you dangle $1,000 in front of them. It's like, okay, I'm going to take this, and then not realizing like, oh, this is going to take a lot more than $1,000. And
the guy that helped me was so nice, super elderly. He was just volunteering. The lady before me was cussing him out and treating him so bad, and he didn't even know, he had nothing to do with it. He's just volunteering. But he did. He sat me down and was like, this is what you should do. This is what we're doing, so that I knew, okay, if I do this, then I can't do nothing else. If I don't do this, then I can continue. So they did really try to make it as easy for all people to understand.
What hotel did y'all make it to?
Holiday Inn Express and Boulder.
Man, I waited too long. I had to go clear out to Austintown.
Dang.
Yeah. Hey, they came out though and gave me I was there for 2 days, and then they gave me a couple bucks for 2 more days. They basically gave me $500 to cover the hotel, and I was still able to get the $1,000. Yeah,
that's good at least that they're
pretty good.
Yeah. I will say though, it seems silly. Like, now it seems like they're getting the processes a little bit more figured out and dialed into. The fact that people are having to wait for potentially an hour or 2 hours in line, and then getting or more. I mean, I heard some people 5.
Yeah, more like 6
3 to 6.
3 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
Right. So, sure, you might be getting reimbursed for your hotel, but are you getting reimbursed for that 6 hours that, you're standing around waiting? You don't think that a $1 billion company who can afford to run trains down these tracks every 45 seconds, as this one's coming by right now, not 45 seconds, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you don't think that this multi-billion dollar company can't build a freaking website so that you all don't need to, so a lot of folks I'm talking to are staying with family in West Virginia or elsewhere, and they're having expenses come up, and they need to drive back here to go to the assistance center to go get something. Like, it's 2023. Like, have the assistance center for folks who, maybe don't have access to a computer, or elderly folks who don't want to do it the old-fashioned way, and I don't blame them. That's fine. But yeah, right. And that's the thing. They don't give a shit.
As hard as they can, so people won't fight for it. And I think they've met their match. I think they're realizing it, that they've met the match, that these people in this town are not going to stop fighting. So,
this ain't the first time this happened. I mean, this happened in '84, I think, too.
In East Palestine,
no, somewhere else. Though.
I've heard about similar things in Quebec and New Jersey.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was one car, not 6.
Didn't they just have one tip over up in Detroit 3-4 days ago?
In the last week, Detroit, there's one in Houston, Texas as well.
South
Carolina. And, when you look at the statistics, I didn't know this before, but there's somewhere in the realm of plus or minus 100 here, I forget exactly, somewhere around 1,200 derailments in the United States per year. That's like 3 a day.
Wouldn't
We're
that
on
give
par to be higher than that this year.
Yeah.
And you would think that would be like, okay, maybe we should check our tracks. Maybe we should check the crossings and fix it instead of just Band-Aiding it. Fix it.
I believe there are sensors that detect any heat change in the wheel bearings in the cars are like 20 miles away.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to put them at 10.
Right. And the other thing too.
Spacing?
Yes.
Yeah. I know there's two of them right here and picked up on it from what I hear.
One of them's directly behind our house, I learned today.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you talk to that Corey?
Yep. The guy that I told you about, he asked for all my surveillance because he said he's going to zoom in and get it to the right people to make sure that was safe before.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I mean, we're also hearing a lot of people talking about, like, braking systems and things like that, and obviously, like, having better brakes might not have prevented the initial derailment from happening, but I went and, like, researched some of this, and the brake technology that the trains are using now, the technology was developed during the Civil War. They haven't updated this to anything new. There is now the, like, ECP braking, electronic controlled pneumatic braking, which makes it so that every car can start braking basically at the same time, from what I understand. Whereas right now it takes a lot of time to stop a train, especially to your point earlier when it's 2 miles long. You know what I mean? To stop something like that, if you can have all the train cars come to a stop, you know, collectively at a similar time versus it kind of like going down the line and slowly stopping and preventing them all the weight and the pressure from pushing the rail cars into each other and sending more cars off the tracks, it's something that could prevent it.
Did I hear right when I heard that they actually like disengaged the burning cars and then kept going?
Yeah, the conductors were able to get the engines away from the fire.
Yes.
Gotcha.
I think that's a safety mechanism, though.
Yeah.
I think it's a safety mechanism, so when that engine disconnects, the engine doesn't go too, because we really got a big mess.
Right.
Not only do we got those chemicals, but we got diesel fuel and more explosions.
Yep.
And with that fire, it's probably going to be hot enough to make that engine explode.
They're using your parking lot to truck in and out. Those blue pods. There's been nonstop traffic from the railroad. You can see like all the debris on the road. They're supposed to be washing their wheels, but I think that's just tracking more through the town.
It is.
It's soaky. It's gross down there.
Pods they clean the wheels and vehicles that are...
No, the blue pods are what they're taking the water out with.
Okay.
And based on the amount of stuff filled, there should be a need for like well over the amount that's down there. I think the total aerial view was 60. Okay. That's not enough to hold millions of gallons of liquid that's built on top of how much water was dumped on it.
Right. Let alone like what, you know, there's stuff buried under the tracks at this point too, and all sorts of things going on. But
2 wells down in between these tracks too.
4.
Oh, that's interesting. You ask.
Oh, yeah. Do you mind?
When they had steam engines, they put wells down there to fill the engines up with the water.
Okay.
Now, if that chemical gets in there, when that chemical gets in there, it will produce gas. So if that well is cracked, that gas is going to keep seeping out and into the environment.
Gotcha. So 4 wells from back when there were steam trains running, or a couple of them. I'm just curious how did you find that sort of stuff out? I'm just curious.
A young man named Corey.
Okay.
The one I quoted you to earlier.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. We'll have to try to connect with them to see if we can figure out more of it. But that also sounds. I mean, there's kind of thing after thing after thing here, right? Extra wells. They're burying dirt underneath the tracks and then building the tracks over them so that they can get back open again.
They're pretty close.
Yeah.
Well, there's a culvert down there because they got a ditch and it goes underneath the train tracks, right? So that's all filled with water. Those train tracks are probably about 2 foot away from that. And that culvert's made out of concrete, so it's only going to hold so much weight.
Right. And for folks watching too tomorrow in the daylight, we'll make sure to come over here and give you some visuals so that's an excuse to come back and watch tomorrow too. If you're not subscribed already, subscribe. But it's an excuse to come back and look because we want to show the full picture here of what's actually going on because it deserves to get out there. This is ridiculous.
I don't know if you can see that window right there. Mm-hmm. That window right there where my psychopath neighbor leaves her fan in 24 hours a day.
This psychopath neighbor?
I admitted something.
Yeah.
That window was open with a box fan running during the explosion, during the derailment, during every moment of that day. And those people are telling us her room's safe. Her bedroom where her daughters sleep is safe. Same with my back window facing the track. Some psychopath sleeps with their window open. I don't know who these people are, but those windows were open. And they said there's nothing to worry about. I'm wiping dust and soot, like stuff off my surfaces, and they're saying that's safe.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I was actually going to ask too. I mean, I knew that Jenna has kids. I don't know if anyone else has kids. You do. How have your kids kind of fared with all of this so far? Are they doing okay health wise? Are they back in school?
With me, I got lucky they weren't here, so
okay.
They were visiting with their mom. So I got real lucky. But I wiped everything down. I bagged everything up. and then washed everything down. I got a cleaning crew coming in this Saturday, which is going to cost me almost $700.
Is Norfolk going to pay for that cleaning crew?
Because I'm not going back down there to wait, so I did the $1,000 thing and got out of town.
Gotcha.
We'll do it later.
Yeah.
I called because I've had issues with their original cleaning crew, and I threw a fit. And he said, we're going to provide somebody else, just hold off, be patient, we're trying to get another contract. They sent in a company, or not even a company, a ministry out of, I think, Cincinnati or Cleveland. I think it was Cincinnati. I think it was Cincinnati. I don't have their name off the top of my head, but these people were all elderly people from the churches all around his areas that drove their own vehicles here on their own time to clean her house and my house, and they didn't get compensated. They didn't want anything.
This is Norfolk Southern connected you together. So first off, just to recap for some people, Norfolk Southern contracted a local cleaner who is not hazmat certified and was collectively, Jenna and I, put out, or I interviewed Jenna. We put out a story on this. The cleaning company was spraying homes with things that are used to clean hospitals to kill germs and bacteria, and does nothing to kill chemicals. And they actually were telling people that if you had this treatment done in your home, that you don't need to wipe down any of your surfaces, which is dangerous as hell in my opinion. I'm not an expert in this. I don't know for sure. But if they're telling you should wipe your stuff down and then instead you just spray it with something that doesn't kill chemicals, it seems to me now like you have the chemicals and this other cleaner just sitting on top of it in your home. And that was who Norfolk Southern hired initially. And now what it sounds like is that instead of hiring a real company, they are a multi-billion-dollar railroad corporation that is definitely not hurting for cash, is using volunteers from a church. Elderly volunteers from a church who are driving their own vehicles.
They weren't ancient. They were the sweetest people in the world. They wanted nothing more to hug me and tell me they'll pray for me. But it shouldn't be them. And why are they going to make a donation to that church? That they're coming back with multiple teams this weekend to help people who weren't helped.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, here I can.
That's
Yeah, we have the picture. I don't know, John. Is this visible? I don't know. So these are the folks who were here. We can also. Okay. So these are the folks who were. Thank you.
Yeah, they did a very good
I'll let
job.
my landlord worry about that once I move.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing everything out.
No, that's fair.
They also told me that if I couldn't wait for their new contract, I could pay out of pocket and try to be reimbursed. He said try.
It's like, okay, yeah, if you've gotten, fortunately, like you're able to do it, but spending $700, $1,000 or whatever, that's a lot of money. Like that's especially for something that's not your fault. It's
Right,
yeah.
especially low income or single. Like I'm a single mom. She's a single mom. We're working.
He's a single dad.
Yeah, we're busting our asses to.
Anybody watching? You can be in San Antonio. No.
Yeah, San Antonio.
Here we go. So we actually have a recent tweet here now from the Ohio EPA. It says, enjoying a glass of clean water in East Palestine. And they've tagged the lieutenant governor and your local House of Representatives rep here. I can try to zoom
I
in.
want to see a video where they poured that water.
Looks like the mayor is in there as well. I'll let you see it as well.
For the waters right now. I am afraid for the water in the future. I'm not concerned. I showered in it. I brushed my teeth in it. I got brave. I know she's been showering in it. We don't ever drink the water. The town water was shit to begin with. So, true transparency, it's either brown or it smells like a swimming pool. So, we don't drink it to begin with. And I would challenge them to come back in 10 years and drink the water. Come back in a couple months and drink the water. They could say it's clean now, but who knows what it's going to be in the future if they're buried all this shit.
That's what I'm concerned with is the water. So the air don't bother me, except for the weird taste on my tongue for the last 3 weeks. But
And again,
no,
single.
No, I do shower in it, but I don't. I use bottled water for brushing my teeth. It does make me a little nervous. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice of them to get all together and take the picture, but where were the residents? Why weren't the residents invited? Because, some of them don't believe you.
Right.
And it almost feels like they're mocking us.
Yeah.
It almost feels like a slap in the face, like, ha ha ha, your water's safe. Okay, come
Yeah, bye,
stand
let's
next to the train.
Yeah.
Come stand next to the smell.
houses and take the water out the tap there.
Yeah,
Don't have a pre-poured cup of water waiting for you.
Right.
That's bottled. It could be bottled. It could be anything.
Yeah, who knows? And I mean, why, I understand, like, why should you believe them at this point? There were definitely lots of conflicting information right off the bat. The initial testing that was all provided was by a company hired by Norfolk Southern. Definitely no conflict of interest there, right? Like, why? And then now folks like even the EPA and all these people, like, they expect you to just be like, oh yeah, we believe you now right away. And, Status Coup, who I work with, Jordan, my boss there, has covered, issues in Flint, Michigan with the water for the last 8 years or so. There's still plenty of issues in Flint, Michigan with the water.
Out in Flint, they don't have it figured out here in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly. And like, even personally, I've spent some time in Jackson, Mississippi, same deal, covering the water there. And people I talk to there, they still have water issues too. Right. Exact to your point. They're not going to figure this out in 2 weeks. Just be transparent with the tests that you're doing, which seems to be not happening. And actually, if the water's not safe to drink, just tell people it's not safe to drink. Why risk it? If you don't know, why risk it? If people are taking showers and getting rashes from potentially the water, how is that safe to drink? What is that going to do to your insides? I mean, it's...
Any of y'all seen all the black SUVs from like different states with all the cops in them?
What
is that about?
Those are a lot of reporters. There's some like NBC and CNN.
They were all in our driveway today. I think it was Fox or CNN or something. Those were all them.
Yeah.
We also, I will say, we were just met up with Ashley, who I think she said she knows you. She's kind of hanging up flyers and stuff in people's windows and whatnot. While we were walking around with her while she was doing that, somebody pulled up in a car with an orange vest on with a camera out the window, putting the camera in our face, and we were like, can I help you? And then when we kind of turned our camera around, she went like this and sped off. Seemingly the people we're seeing in vests are working with the railroad or the cleaning crews and stuff. It was very weird. We'll be posting some sort of video about that, just because that was what are they trying to intimidate her from hanging flyers in people's doors? It was weird.
That's very weird. Yeah. That's very weird behavior.
No, yeah, absolutely. I guess to go back to this, have you, is your child doing okay during all of this?
She was really scared the first few days. Like, she didn't understand. And standing out there, she was just like blindsided. She didn't think things like that could happen. Once we got back in the house, she's been okay. I mean, she's had a dry cough, but no rash or nothing. So we've let the doctor know just in case. But I mean, we're already we all said it's almost 3 weeks in, and they're setting up a clinic tomorrow. We already been to the doctor and got looked at by now. So it's ridiculous.
I'm very curious to see who's running the clinic, as well as the clinic being provided by Norfolk Southern, or is it provided?
It's FEMA, and it's led by a lawyer.
Okay, that makes me feel better. I was like,
yeah, but I've already been in the emergency room twice, so.
You've been to the ER twice, and was that for you mentioned chest pain?
Everything. Yeah. First, in the diagnosis, they said it was environmental exposure.
Environmental exposure.
My paperwork says inhalation injury to chemicals. I have the papers if you want them. I can go grab them off my fridge.
Yeah, up to you. Yeah, Jenna's on it. She's grabbing them.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, but the minute we stop talking about it to keep the attention on it's the minute that everything's just gonna disappear. So we got to stay on it. We got to make sure that they're held accountable.
Absolutely.
Real held accountable.
And for anyone watching too, and Colin, if you have any comments or anything that people are watching want to ask a question or anything like that, we can probably do a couple. I won't take too much more of your time. Again, we really appreciate y'all sharing this, and you'll probably see us out here tomorrow looking around on the railroad tracks now too. So keep an eye out for that. I guess. Oh, bless you. As far as your next steps right now. Here let's look at the paperwork first, I guess. Here.
I think my weight's on there. That's rude.
No one look at the weight, okay?
It's not.
So we have here. Where is the part here where we've got
right here highlighted.
Yeah, inhalation injury due to chemical.
Before everybody was going and the news told you to go. That was when.
Yeah. And I'm surprised. So some people I was talking to were also saying that they couldn't get them to write that on a diagnosis. They were giving people, it's like, oh, you have bronchitis, or you have something else, and they were like, we can't say that it's from the chemicals necessarily.
Well,
so
in all fairness to the doctors, some people are trying to be sneaky, so they have to be smart with their license. and make sure that it's really what they're saying. Because there are some people that will take advantage of a situation like this, which is sad, but they don't want to lose their license over something because they get sued in the aftermath because they didn't diagnose them right, or they diagnosed them this way. So in the doctor's defenses, they got to be careful.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. And I would also say that a lot of them probably don't see too many people with these sorts of chemicals walking in the door. I mean, this is some harsh...
How to test for it, you know what I mean?
And how do they know even what to test for? A lot of people we're talking to, too, is like, okay, it's one chemical when it's inside the train car, but when the thing sets on fire, it turns into something else. When it touches into water, it turns into something else. Are they testing for all of these things? And, you know, it seems like you're concerned with this, too. A lot of residents are like, how do we trust the tests if they're not being transparent on exactly what they're testing for? Are they testing for the things that these chemicals can turn into?
What's the long-term effect? You know, what is the long-term effect?
The practitioner that actually seen me that day, I think I beat like the rushes to the hospital. I think that's why my paperwork says that. I don't know if somebody got in their ear and said quit writing that or something. Right. But she actually spent a lot of time on the phone with poison control, who were absolutely blindsided and no way to help. They said just give her steroids and do what you can to get her lungs back to normal. My son got the same paper.
And right, when we talked at some point on the phone or something, you'd mentioned you had to have some sort of nebulizer treatment or something like that.
We both got nebulizers and inhalers, like a rescue inhaler, because he's wheezing, I'm wheezing. Her daughter blew a blood vessel on her forehead coughing as she downplays things.
Yeah.
I hear your voice all the time.
Yeah, and to be clear too, I mean, these aren't things that you've ever had. You told me this before. These aren't things that you've had issues with before. That your son or daughter, your son hasn't had issues with.
I mean, he's a kid. He gets the normal colds and stuff, but they don't last this long. It's been what now, 2 weeks, and he's still wheezing and coughing, and you know, he's up at night going.
Yeah, no, that's ridiculous. Let me see here if I've got. John, do you know if Colin sent anything? He might have emailed. Okay, gotcha. Oh, here we do. I've got some stuff here. So we have a couple comments. I'll just read them to you. These are from folks in the audience. Again, thank you all so much for taking the time to do this. And guys, if you're watching, stay tuned for more stuff all week. We're going to be here. We'll probably bump into some of y'all in different spots around town. Feel free to say hi, and we'll go from there. But we had a couple people here. People being, wondering, like, can people afford having to go spend hundreds of thousands of dollars at the ER? A lot of people probably can't. Would you imagine, right? Would you agree with that statement that most people can't afford, $1,000?
It's not a richly area. It's a middle to lower class. A lot of people don't have jobs. A lot of people are sick. A lot of people don't work. I mean, there's a lot that goes into the small village, and they can't afford it. There's just no way.
No, absolutely. So thanks for that question, Army Boy 057. There you go. Matt said, fantastic coverage and interview. It takes a lot of guts and effort. I think that's meant for all of you as well, because it takes a lot of guts to actually come and talk.
I forced you all out of your house.
and Jennifer knocking on people's doors all day. She's been messaging me. She's like, I'm gonna go knock on these doors of people. Some of them I don't even know these people that well, and I'm gonna just go knock on their doors. So thank you for making that happen. We had someone say, come again. Said, this reminds me of Flint. Unfortunately, I hope that they can figure this out easier than that, so you all don't need to deal with this. But especially in talking to Jordan, my boss, who's done a lot of the reporting in Flint, it's from hearing from him. He's like, a lot of this sounds similar. Things being hidden, things being covered up.
And again, look at the area in Flint. It's a lower class, middle to lower class population, and they talk about wanting to take care of the American people. I haven't seen it. Yeah. I haven't seen it at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And same goes for, again, I've mentioned I've spent time in Jackson. Same thing. It's one of the poorest cities in the United States. No one seems to care that you can't drink the water in their city as well. We have one other here. We also, your governor should have asked for FEMA help weeks ago. I'm honestly not sure if he did or not, but he didn't. Okay, yeah.
No, he came, and, he was literally here long enough to, give a quick speech and leave. FEMA's never, not to my knowledge, has he?
I have not had any like confirmation. There are rumors going around, but I don't try to not listen.
I think that at one point I saw him in an interview say like regardless of the politics of all of this, he's like, I got a call from the president saying that the federal government would offer whatever they needed, and I haven't returned the phone call or something. It's like it's a little ridiculous.
I mean, if we claim to be part of Ukraine, we'll get some money.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you all saw this, but President Biden was in Ukraine this morning. Wait, did you? That was a good one. For the people who missed that, she said, "Does he even know he was there?" Yeah, that's a good point. We don't know these days. I don't know.
Why'd you say that?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was
fault.
and then that's some of the comments we have.
It's hard too because the EPA administrator for the I don't know if it's a state, when he came in and did his speech in the community center at the park, he was out of the 1 mile evacuation zone. One of the reporters was like, "Are you going to take a drink?" And he just like blew off the question. But like, he was like, "I would bring my family and they would drink the water."
I did see that thing. Yes.
Go ahead.
We have a lot of housing opening up.
We're waiting.
We have a lot of housing right on this very road opening up. I think my house, his house.
I hear the rent's probably the rent's gonna go down if you're looking for an affordable.
My poor buddy, my colleague at work, just moved in 2 doors down from me on the 1st.
Man. Yeah. And is he renting? Hopefully. All right. Still tough because I'm sure he's signing a lease and it's hard to.
The market too is just bad in general for renting and buying. Because of the inflation from COVID going into last year, like you can't afford nothing. Like a pop is now like $6. I mean, people are struggling, and this does not help the struggle. And yes, it was nice of you to offer the $1,000, but really, like, you don't think we're worth more than that? Like, it's not even for me. It's not even about the money. Like, I want you to do what you screwed up. You fix it. You come clean my house. I'm not cleaning it. You clean it because you made the mess. Like, that's how I think about it. I mean, some people do need the money, and it is, but for me, it's more like you made the mess, you clean it up. I'm tired. Like, that's for me anyway.
I got you a nice church group that left you a Bible and they cleaned your house. You're welcome.
Well, they'll be back Friday.
Any other parting thoughts from any of you guys, or yeah, all good? Well.
Really.
It's hard to say because the frustration is real.
I said what I wanted to say to 17 different reporters, and
And honestly, like I appreciate the effort of people like actually trying to get out and talk, because unfortunately, and a lot of the stories that we've covered, myself, other folks we work with, the media will be in town, and then one day they won't be, and a lot of them aren't going to come back, unfortunately, and they're only going to keep coming back if people keep getting the message out and sharing what's happening. Yeah, and
somebody needs to hear us.
It's tough, and this week there'll be folks in town with Trump's going to be in town on Wednesday. That's going to bring in a lot of media, but my guess is after he's out of town, things are going to get quiet in the news unless folks like you all start talking. That too, and we'll actually be there for that as well. So maybe we'll see it.
So I'm not going. Just saying.
Thank you all so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Yes,
thank you guys.
So
Yeah.
nice
Thank
to
you so
meet
much.
you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Jenna. Thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate you all taking the time. Yeah, do you want to? Let's take a little walk back. We'll see if we can see. Are you able to move, John? All right. Folks who are watching, we'll try to take a look at the tracks here, and we'll also come back during the day, but for those of you watching right now, we'll be able to get a quick sneak peek here. John's just putting on a backpack, and we'll be good to go. And for those of you watching still, too, make sure to hit the like button, share the live stream. Walk at our own risk. Okay. Watch your steps, John, here.
Neither have I. I've been looking for my neighbor's cat. They had to leave without him.
Oh, geez.
Well, he's one of them outdoor mostly, but comes indoors from time to time.
Yep.
And he happened to be outdoor when that happened.
Ugh.
They're close here.
Yeah, you can. So for folks watching, you're not going to be able to tell, obviously, but the smell is definitely apparent. John, if you want to pop right there, you'll be able to see a little bit better.
From my yard, they're even closer.
Jeez. So you can see the train tracks are literally right in these folks' backyard. Can you not see it? Okay, well, it's up to you if you want to go down there or not, or we can also wait. Yeah, there's a lot of trains coming. Let's do it during the daytime. Well, folks, here, point it at me for a second. You can trust me, the train tracks are 15 feet down the hill right there. Yeah.
He is not going down that hill.
Yeah, no, not right now. We'll do it tomorrow. We'll save it. Yeah, that's not going to be helpful. All right, here, let's poke back around here.
My house is below the train, so you don't have to.
Your house is below. John, keep it rolling for a second. Thank you all. For folks watching, hang on a second. I'll talk to you a little bit more in a second. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Have a good night.
You can see it really good from the corner of my yard.
Down there? All right.
Yep.
We might go down there tomorrow and do that.
Yeah, you
Cool.
can come
I got a
back whenever.
dog, so he leaves landmines.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out for the dog. Awesome.
Go down to the building at the end of this street and go in the front right corner.
Okay.
The one closest.
We'll check that out as well.
Allow that because I rode a dirt bike there once and I got yelled at.
If he comes on to Pleasant Street, Pleasant's open. If you come
Pleasant
to
Street.
you can get right there.
Gotcha.
You know, and they say nothing to you over there, my owner.
Awesome.
No,
Thank you. And Jenna, again, thank you so much. I'll shoot you a message and we can follow up. Do you mind if we just finish this back here and then I'll walk? All right, cool. Guys who are watching still, thank you so much. I think Colin might have sent me a couple more questions here or comments. I just want to make sure, unless he...
Just wants us to talk about the day. And
Yep.
what happened.
Yeah, so I'll give us a brief overview of what happened. So this morning, we started off, we woke up and headed to the Assistance Center. You heard me talk about that a little bit right here. We got to the Assistance Center at 8:30 in the morning. Some folks had been lined up at 5:30 in the morning. I'd say right when we got there, probably 50 or so people in line at the Assistance Center. Some of them had, been there multiple times before. They were getting there that early, most of them because they had been turned away on other instances where, they spent hours waiting in line, and then they get up for their turn and, sorry, we're out of appointments for the day. Come back another time. So that system's changed a little bit. Now when you show up to this assistance center, everyone's given a ticket, and they're essentially letting 65 people at a time into the assistance center. 65 appointments right when they open at 10, another 65 appointments right around noon, another 65 in the afternoon, and then one more set of 65 at the end of the day. From what we can tell, after those, roughly 250 or so appointments are filled, you're done with appointments for the day. Not a great system. Seems like you'd be able to build a website to do this a whole lot faster, as I said earlier during this, as a multi-billion-dollar company. Personally, I don't know much about websites. I've built like one. I think I could build a website that would have the functionality for someone to be able to do that. It's not that difficult. Surely they have the resources to do so. We talked to several residents there who some had success in going in and getting their $1,000 check. But as you heard from some of these folks, it's basically either or. You either take the $1,000 check and you're all done, or you go each time and are sending in reimbursals. When you're doing the reimbursal method, you basically have to keep going, waiting in this line, jumping through all these hoops that the railroad wants to make you jump through, and hopefully get reimbursed for the things that you need to be reimbursed for. In the case of the one gentleman we talked to, for him, he just took the $1,000 because he didn't want to have to sit there going back and forth each time. And he said something along the lines of, I will, I'll get mine later, probably alluding to some sort of, there's going to be lots of lawsuits involved with all of this. Out of breath. Appreciate that. After that, we headed to meet up with, we've talked to so many people today. Jamie, we went and met up with Jamie, and Jamie's working with an organization called River Valley Organizing. She lives right along one of the streams that runs right through town. Right upstream from her house, the city is actually pumping water out and back down. Actually, can we move up front? I just it smells pretty bad back here, and I'm sorry about that, guys. I just need to catch my breath. So with River Valley Organizing, Jamie's been working with them, and We then talked to a couple other folks with Jamie, including mother who. How's it going? Oh, you're. Oh, yeah.
Card?
I don't have a card with me.
Take a
Do you have a
picture
picture
of
on your
the,
phone? You can take a
microphone.
picture of the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, that's you.
I don't mean me, right?
Here you go.
All right.
Cool. Yeah, and you can look it up on YouTube. Yep.
All right. Thanks.
And then, so yeah, we talked to a couple other folks with Jamie during the day. Some of those interviews are going to be posted tomorrow, or I'm assuming they're going to be posted tomorrow. Colin, I guess we're posting them tomorrow. In the afternoon, we met up with Ashley, another resident who is actively working on distributing flyers, people's doors. We've got a lot planned for tomorrow. I definitely skipped a couple things from today, but I've been talking a whole lot, and it's been a long day. So we're gonna have a lot of good content for you over the next couple days. John,
When we were throwing the rocks in the water, the smell was really coming up.
Yep.
And then we went to go sit down at McDonald's, and my nose actually started burning.
Yep.
For just a few minutes, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was pretty bad.
So it's definitely we're seeing all sorts of different things here. And what's up?
Jordan has a question for you. He wants
Okay.
to know what percentage of the residents were experiencing health symptoms.
So question from Jordan was, what percentage of residents are experiencing health symptoms? It's hard to say. I'd say it's somewhere around, half-ish or slightly less. I mean, some people are also, we talked to one gentleman this morning who is essentially saying, like, he didn't think any of it was related to the train. He was like, oh, it's allergy season, and I'm feeling this sort of stuff. Now, I'm not an expert in that, but when you look around, the trees do not have, like, new leaf buds on them or anything. Things are not coming back to life for spring yet. You know what I mean? It's still the end of winter here right now, and I really don't think that was the case. So some people are kind of having that sort of, maybe a little bit of denial that this is happening and are unsure and are questioning all of the authorities and everything like that who are kind of spreading the information to them. So it's kind of a guess at this point. I'd say half are having some sort of symptom, right? Whether it be a rash or a sore throat or, watery eyes and things like that. But a little bit hard to say. Yeah.
Somebody had a question about the restaurants. Are the restaurants still open?
Yeah, I would say decent. And Jenna, you can chime in if you want. Yeah, mostly, the restaurants are still open. We haven't eaten, so we're staying one town over from East Palestine. We're a couple towns over. We're in Columbiana. So not as effective. They're west of here, but like upwind essentially.
There are some businesses that are being affected by this.
Oh yeah, there are businesses in East Palestine being affected by this for sure. I'm not sure if they're serving their water or anything like that, but.
But a lot of businesses are getting people to refuse to come to town because, my son's grandma or great grandma died during this, and a lot of people wouldn't even come to her services because it was in town. Yeah. So.
Yeah. But yeah. So it's definitely it's happening quite a bit. But with that, I think we're gonna try to wrap this up here. Thank you all so much for watching. Definitely stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed, hit the notification bell, join the text list. I believe we will send out a text message anytime we're going to go live on trips like this. It's hard to know exactly when we're going to go live, right? So statuscoup.com/text. If you want to support this kind of reporting, it's expensive. John and I had to both fly here. We've got rental cars, hotels, all this sort of stuff. statuscoup.com/donate. We are fully people-powered, not taking money from any corporations, anything crazy. We're not taking money from the railroads for sure. Can't say that about every media outlet out there right now. So if you can support us, definitely do so. You can also become a member, statuscoup.com/join. You can also follow me on Twitter. I'm at LewisD217. And we've also got at John Farina Photo on Twitter. We'll be posting more updates there as well. If you're not following Status Coup on Twitter, make sure you're doing that as well. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more over the next week or so while we're here reporting right from East Palestine.